Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shivan Chandnak.
And I'm Jyotsna Kumar. And on the show today, Mark Carney, the former central banker who oversaw the response to financial crisis in North America and the UK, has become the next Prime Minister of Canada. He will be taking oath, of course, after winning the race to lead the country's federal Liberal Party. Now, he takes on the role as Canada is locked in a potentially catastrophic trade war with the US. We'll bring you all the latest on that.
Also on World DNA, Syria is going through the biggest onslaught after the ouster of leader Bashar al-Assad. The country continues to be roiled by sectarian violence, with the death toll crossing 1,000. Syria's leader vowed accountability and an investigation after the killings triggered an international backlash. We'll bring you the latest on that front as well. This is World DNA. Let's start with the headlines.
Mark Carney wins race to succeed Justin Trudeau as Canada's Prime Minister, and Liberal Party leader vows to stand up to U.S. President Donald Trump in address to the country amid tariff trade war.
A single-engine airplane carrying 5 people crashes in suburban Pennsylvania. Officials say everyone on board survived.
Romania's electoral bureau rejects far-right populist Călin Georgescu's candidacy for the rerun of last year's annulled presidential election, sparking outrage among his supporters.
Russia says it has captured territory in Ukraine's Sumy region for the first time since 2022 in a cross-border offensive, as Kiev struggles to hold on to territory in the Kursk region.
Israel orders immediate halt to Gaza's electricity supply in an effort to pressure Hamas into releasing hostages, even as it prepares for fresh talks on the future of truce with the Palestinian group.
Iran's UN mission says the country would consider negotiations with the US if the aim of the talks was to address concerns regarding any potential militarization of its nuclear program rather than total shutdown.
It's a volatile Monday in global markets. Asian stocks open mixed as investors assess weak economic data from China and the impact of tariffs on the global economy.
India are the winners of the Champions Trophy. The men in blue defeat New Zealand by 4 wickets in the final to win back-to-back ICC titles.
And Canada's Liberal Party has elected Mark Carney as its new leader to succeed Justin Trudeau as the country's next Prime Minister.
Now, according to the final tally, 59-year-old Carney won 85.9% of the ballots cast in the Liberal Party leadership vote.
First place, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, with 131,674 votes, resulting in 29,457 allocated points, representing 85.9% of the vote.
Now, Carney soundly defeated his main challenger, Trudeau's former Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland. The former central banker lost no time in taking a defiant stance against threats from U.S. President Donald Trump. In his victory speech to party supporters, Carney warned that the U.S. under Trump was seeking to seize control of Canada, an effort he said must be defeated.
The Americans want our resources, our water, our land, our country. Think about it. If they succeeded, they would destroy our way of life.
As soon as the results were announced, Carney told a boisterous crowd in Ottawa that Trump is attacking Canadian workers, families and businesses.
There's someone who's trying to do the opposite. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. And we won't. We won't.
Now, Carney said Canada will keep retaliatory tariffs in place until the Americans show it respect. Listen to this.
The Canadian government has rightly retaliated and is rightly retaliating with our own tariffs that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada. And my government will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect.
Carney also hit back at Trump for threatening to annex Canada.
America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form.
The U.S. president has repeatedly spoken about annexing Canada and thrown bilateral trade into chaos with sweeping tariff actions.
Carney has argued that he is the ideal counter to Trump's disruptions, reminding voters that he led the Bank of Canada through the 2008-2009 financial crisis and steered the Bank of England through the turbulence that followed the 2016 Brexit vote. Now, Carney will take over from outgoing party leader Prime Minister Justin Trudeau over the coming days after he officially resigns from his post. The Governor-General will then invite Mark Carney to form a government.
Now, Trudeau, in a post on social media X, said he is leaving as leader of the Liberal Party with the same belief in hope and hard work as when he started. Delivering a farewell address to party supporters before his successor was announced, Trudeau said, "Canadians face from our neighbor an existential challenge."
Carney will lead the Liberals into the next general elections. Canada must hold elections by October 20th, but Carney could call a snap poll within weeks. Canada's incoming Prime Minister has never served in Parliament nor held an elected public office.
He made a fortune as an investment banker at Goldman Sachs before entering the Canadian Civil Service since leaving the Bank of England in 2020. He has served as the United Nations envoy, working to get the private sector to invest in climate-friendly technology, and has held private sector roles. All right, to discuss more, Daniel Boardman is joining us live from Toronto. He's a senior correspondent for National Telegraph. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Yes, today Canada had a new Prime Minister appointed.
Right.
King Carney has been appointed Prime Minister of Canada. He does not hold public office in any way.
Right.
Remember, all other competitors were that showed potential to potentially defeat him were disqualified by the party elites. So this was an appointment. It was a fake race with just, I mean, it's the state of Canadian democracy, but it's totally propped up by Donald Trump right now as, I mean, the thought of electing, I mean, the man describes himself as a European. We're dealing with a European banker who moved his company's headquarters from Canada to America. just last year. So he's been part of the take Canadian businesses and move it to the States. He is deeply embedded with the Communist Party of China, deeply embedded in all the unpopular, nonsensical green energy mass migration policies that everyone hates so much. But he does have full support of the Canadian media, which is almost completely nationalized at this point. There's no difference between the CBC, CTV, Global News, any of this. All of them are 24-hour Mark Carney hype stations, which gloss over all his faults and essentially prop him up. Mark Carney has answered no questions from the media that aren't pre-selected and has cruised into being prime minister. So I will give myself a bit of credit, although it's not the greatest prediction ever. We all called Mark Carney being the Prime Minister of Canada before. I believe I did that when I was in India back there. So Mark Carney has been appointed Prime Minister of Canada. And the only good thing for Canadians is this likely will trigger a quick election. It's kind of funny where you now have Jagmeet Singh who's trying to stop an election. And Mark Carney actually might want to get to an election as soon as possible because, one, he does not hold office right now, so he can't actually sit in the House of Commons. We're in a ridiculous scenario where we have a prime minister now in this country, but we don't have him in parliament at a time of crisis. It's absurd. So there might be something where he might try and assume emergency powers to deal with Donald Trump to push through his initiatives. And it's likely Jagmeet Singh might give him emergency powers, but it goes twofold. The longer he stays in office, the more likely he is to lose an election to Peter Poilievre. Because his appeal right now is he's a new, fresh face. He could pretend to be an outsider, even though he was the architect of all the failed policies here. And if he calls a snap election, he can say, oh, I value democracy, I'm the new face, yada, yada, yada. But if he stays in power and starts to implement the same things Trudeau did, people will suddenly start to hear him speak, see him for what he is, and then they'll see, oh, this is the same Liberal Party. Then the Conservatives might be up 20 points again. So this is the dilemma he faces.
And it's great because you picked up election. I was going to come to that. We know that he has now suddenly become the party leader and everything. But what does him contesting the elections look like now that he does not have a political background as against Pierre Poilievre, his opponent?
Now, usually not having a political background might help you in this day and age, but I don't know what's more hated by the general population, global banker or politician. So global banker who was advisor to Justin Trudeau isn't the most outsidery thing possible. Now, it is possible to run. You don't need to be like a lifelong public servant and all that. I think it will more come down to, you would hope policy, but let's be honest, elections aren't fought on too much policy. It's more on emotion. So this will be an anti-Donald Trump election. And it behooves Mark Carney to call an election right now because the longer he stays in Parliament, the more he'll be seen as an appointed dictator. Because, again, he was not, there wasn't a reasonable election. The Liberals... And it's not just the Liberals, okay? Every political party in Canada, the internal party elections are not monitored by Elections Canada. They monitor their own things. So it's like the inmates running asylum. They're all fake. It's third world banana republic stuff. When the Conservatives, the Liberals, the NDP, the Green parties have their own internal party elections. Not even third world. I don't want to insult the third world. Fourth world banana republic nonsense. So that's what we saw here. And Carney's strategy should likely be to call an election soon. Spend a week so he gets the honeymoon phase and then go straight to an election. And then if he were smart, he'd run an election purely against Donald Trump. So you're going to see a fascinating Canadian election where one party's going to run against Donald Trump, the other's going to run against Justin Trudeau, and neither of those two names will be on the ballot. So that's likely going to be the next Canadian election. And we'll see where the Canadian people are, but the recent buffoonery by Donald Trump has given Mark Carney and the Liberals a boost.
Daniel, I think you answered most of it without a question being asked, but I think you pretty much covered up most of whatever is to be kind of dealt with or considered at this point. What happens next, we'll need to wait and watch because
especially the Canadians, how they look at these elections, we'll have to wait and see.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. That was Daniel Bodman joining us from Toronto.
Thank you for having me.
All right, in a major development, U.S. hostage negotiator Adam Boehler has said that a hostage deal in Gaza could be possible within weeks.
And this comes after Israel's strong objection to the U.S. engaging in direct talks with Hamas. Reports indicate that the recent meetings between Hamas leaders and Adam Boehler have focused on the release of hostage Eden Alexander, a U.S.-Israeli dual national. 21-year-old Alexander, who served as a soldier with the Israeli military, is believed to be the last living American hostage held by Hamas in Gaza.
Dan is a great guy, Jersey boy, all-American kid, great swimmer. Graduated from the high school like everybody else instead of college. Traveled to Israel, served in IDF, and found himself on the wrong spot in the wrong time. And here, 435 days later, we're here fighting for his return.
Speaking to American broadcaster CNN, Boehler, however, suggested a possible deal with Hamas could see the return of all remaining hostages and not just the Americans.
Now, ahead of the crucial truce talks in Doha, Israel has cut off electricity supply to the Gaza Strip. Israeli energy military Eli Cohen wrote on social media X, "Enough with the talk, it's time for action." The announcement comes a week after Israel blocked entry of all humanitarian aid into Gaza.
Reacting to Israel's decision, Hamas said it was a desperate attempt to pressure Palestinians through a cheap and unacceptable blackmail. Meanwhile, an Israeli delegation will hold talks with Hamas in Qatar's Doha for an extension of the ceasefire. U.S. Special Envoy to West Asia Steve Witkoff is also likely to attend the meet. Earlier, Hamas had signaled its intention to accept a temporary truce in Gaza during Ramzan. And staying on with West Asia, Syria is going through the biggest onslaught after the ouster of Alawite leader Bashar al-Assad.
The country continues to be roiled by sectarian violence, with the death toll crossing 1,300 in the areas dominated by the country's Alawite minority. Now, a battle is raging between the Syrian forces and al-Assad loyalists in northwestern Syria, where 830 Alawites have been killed over the past 4 days, pushing the overall toll in violence since Thursday to 1,311, as fighting killed 231 security personnel and 250 fighters loyal to ousted President Bashar al-Assad.
The Syrian regime has claimed full control of the city centers of Latakia, Banias, Jable and Tartus, where heavy clashes are taking place. The Syrian presidency has announced a 7-member committee to investigate violence events.
In a video posted on social media, several dead bodies were seen on the road in Syria's Latakia region. Authorities are blaming unruly armed militias for the summary executions in villages and towns dominated by the Alawite minority.
Syria's de facto leader, Ahmad al-Shara, has called on Assad loyalists to lay down their arms before it's too late.
We will not tolerate the remnants of the fallen regime who committed crimes against our army forces and state institutions. They have only one choice, which is to surrender themselves to the law immediately.
Now, al-Shara vowed to hunt down anyone who overstepped their authority.
We confirm that we will hold accountable, with all firmness and without leniency, anyone who was involved in the bloodshed of civilians or harmed our people, or who exceeded the powers of the state or exploited power to achieve his own goals.
The fight began when government forces tried to detain a wanted person near the coastal city of Jable and were ambushed by Assad loyalists. Syria's Alawite minority is concentrated in the country's coastal region, where ousted leader Bashar al-Assad continues to maintain influence. Damascus was quick to send reinforcements to the coastal city of Latakia and Tartus and nearby villages.
Meanwhile, officials from Syria's neighboring country held a meeting in Jordan. Officials from Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, Turkey, and Jordan discussed cooperation on security challenges. The Jordanian Foreign Ministry confirmed in a statement that the meeting focuses on preserving Syria's unity and stability.
Humanitarian agencies are raising concerns over a sharp increase in violence. United Nations urged immediate halt to hostilities to protect civilians. Infrastructure, the International Committee of the Red Cross said the humanitarian workers must be allowed safe access in Latakia and Tartus.
The situation has also drawn international condemnation. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said U.S. stands with Syria's religious and ethnic minorities. The European Union strongly condemned the recent attacks.
It called on external actors to fully respect the sovereignty, unity and territorial integrity of Syria. Kuwait and Bahrain also condemned the crimes committed by outlaw groups and vowed support for Syria's interim government.
All right, shifting our focus to the Russia-Ukraine war, U.S. President Donald Trump has said that his administration has just about lifted the pause on the intelligence sharing with Ukraine, while adding that he expects good results from U.S. talks with Ukrainian officials in Saudi Arabia.
Now, according to reports, U.S. officials are planning to use Tuesday's meeting with the Ukrainian delegation in part to determine whether Ukraine is willing to make material concessions to Russia to end the war. Ukrainian President Zelensky has previously announced that he will be in Jeddah for the talks, as has U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and envoy Steve Witkoff. Highly anticipated negotiations on resolving the three-year conflict will see U.S. and Ukrainian officials meet for the first time since Zelensky's showdown with Trump at the White House.
The situation is tensed on the battlefield. Russia claimed it has captured territory in Ukraine's Sumy region for the first time since 2022 in a cross-border offensive as Kiev struggles to hold on to territory in Russia's neighboring Kursk region.
Russia also claimed the recapture of 4 new villages in its Kursk border region as its troops pushed on against Ukrainian soldiers who had seized territory there. Kiev wants to use the territory it holds in Kursk as a potential bargaining chip in any peace negotiations. Kiev has not yet commented on Russia's claim of gains in Kursk, but Zelensky in his evening address thanked all the Ukrainian units who are steadfastly and against all odds destroying the occupier, repelling attacks and defending our positions, quote unquote. Now, supporters of Romanian far-right politician Călin Georgescu clashed with police after the country's Central Election Authority, BEC, barred him from participating in May's presidential elections rerun.
The BEC rejected his candidacy, saying it doesn't meet the conditions of legality. In capital Bucharest, thousands of Georgescu's supporters gathered outside the Central Electoral Bureau as news about the eligibility of his candidacy started trickling in. The supporters clashed with the police, leading to a tense face-off. Police fired tear gas as the supporters broke the violence.
Georgescu called the ban a direct blow to the heart of democracy worldwide and claimed that Romania was under tyranny. He now has 2 hours to submit. That's 24 hours to submit an official appeal to the Romanian top court, which will issue a ruling within 72 hours.
Now, it all started in December 2024 when the 62-year-old far-right pro-Russian politician came from nowhere to win the first round of the presidential election. But Romania's constitutional court annulled the results just 2 days before the second round of voting. The court's verdict came after declassified intelligence documents suggested poll interference by Russia in favor of Georgescu. Last month, the far-right politician was charged with attempting to overthrow constitutional order, membership of a neo-fascist organization, and false electoral declarations.
Meanwhile, tech billionaire Elon Musk reacted to the development in Romania, calling the Constitutional Court's decision as crazy. Both Musk and US Vice President J.D. Vance had criticized Romania for annulling the presidential election last year.
Right, another global news, the Australian coast is battling strong winds and heavy rains brought on by tropical cyclone Alfred.
Homes across Australia's eastern state of Queensland have sustained massive damage and power cuts. Thousands have been evacuated, and according to the local media, about 250,000 people are facing power outages as violent wind toppled power lines. One person has been confirmed dead.
Tragically, last night it was confirmed a 61-year-old man has died in floodwaters near Dorrigo in New South Wales. Our thoughts are with his loved ones and the community at this heartbreaking time.
In a separate incident on Saturday, police said 13 soldiers were injured and hospitalized when 2 army trucks toppled over during a deployment to clear roads near the flood-prone New South Wales city of Lismore.
Meanwhile, some 3 million people were without power in Queensland's southeast. The Gold Coast city was the worst hit area with over 112,000 people going without power. Cyclone Alfred reached the Queensland coast on Saturday as a tropical low after 16 days as a cyclone, prompting preparations by millions of residents.
State capital Brisbane was spared the brunt of the storm's impact that was also felt in southern neighbour New South Wales state. The authorities have urged residents to stay indoors. All right, it's now time for a quick short break, but don't go anywhere. On the other side of World DNA, we have more coming up. Thousands of supporters welcomes a former king Gyanendra Shah to Kathmandu with pro-monarchy demonstrations in the Himalayan Republic. We'll get you all the latest on that.
The Indian duo of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli have once again silenced their critics with the Champions Trophy victory. Indian captain Rohit Sharma confirmed that he will not retire from ODIs. We'll bring you the full report on that as well. On the other side of this break, this is World DNA. We'll be back.
Imagine a world where owning your dream asset is just a click away, where wealth is no longer exclusive to the few. Tokenization, the game changer, transforming assets into digital opportunities. A revolutionary technology opening doors to a new era of investment. Don't miss Token Money Magnet, a bold initiative by Kalp Foundation. Coming soon, only beyond World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Catch me on Token Money Magnet as we yield the power of tokenization only on WION.
WION India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
And welcome back, viewers. You're watching World DNA with Jyotsna and I'm Shivan. Lots more on this side of the show as well. Let's start with the headlines.
Carney wins race to succeed Justin Trudeau as Canada's Prime Minister, and Liberal Party leader vows to stand up to U.S. President Donald Trump in address to the country amid tariff trade war.
Single-engine airplane carrying 5 people crashes in suburban Pennsylvania. Officials say everyone on board survived.
Romania's electoral bureau rejects far-right populist Colin Georgescu's candidacy for the rerun of last year's annulled presidential election, sparking outrage among his supporters.
Russia says it has captured territory in Ukraine's Sumy region for the first time since 2022 in a cross-border offensive as Kiev struggles to hold on to territory in the Kursk region.
Israel orders immediate halt to Gaza's electricity supply in an effort to pressure Hamas into releasing hostages, even as it prepares for fresh talks on the future of truce with the Palestinian group.
Iran's UN mission says the country would consider negotiations with the US if the aim of the talks was to address concerns regarding any potential militarization of its nuclear program rather than a total shutdown.
It's a volatile Monday in global markets. Asian stocks open mixed as investors assess weak economic data from China and the impact of tariffs on the global economy.
India are the winners of the Champions Trophy. The men in blue defeat New Zealand by 4 wickets in the final to win back-to-back ICC titles.
Now, Nepal has in recent days been witnessing a surge in support for its erstwhile monarchy.
No, it was in evidence on Sunday when thousands of supporters welcomed the country's former king, Gyanendra Shah, to Kathmandu with pro-monarchy demonstrations in the Himalayan Republic.
Gyanendra Shah's supporters cheered and waved Nepal's flag, chanting "Come King, save the nation," as he greeted them at the Kathmandu airport gate. The former king had been touring the country in recent weeks and returned to the capital from Pokhara in central Nepal. Shah was crowned in 2001 after his elder brother, King Birendra Bir Bikram Shah, and his family were killed in a palace massacre that wiped out most of the royal family.
Hindu-majority Nepal became a secular republic in 2008 after parliament abolished the monarchy as part of a peace deal that ended a decade-long civil war in which over 16,000 people were killed. But dissatisfaction over political instability, corruption and slow economic development has seen a rise in the support for the restoration of the monarchy and a Hindu state.
All right, for more on the story, our correspondent Saloni Murarka sends us this report from Kathmandu. Listen in.
Thousands of protesters have gathered outside the Kathmandu's international airport to reinstate the monarchy. As you see, this is the main gate of the Kathmandu International Airport. They are here to welcome the Himalayan nation's former king, Gyanendra Shah. They demand the restatement of monarchy. They believe that monarchy system is better for the country's economy and the growth. As you see, this is the big rally crowd that is being carried out in different parts of the country at the moment. And I'm standing here in Kathmandu, the capital, and predominantly these rallies are being carried out by the RPP, that's the Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, and it is the fifth largest party in the parliament, with the backing of small individuals and pro-monarchy groups. Security is on high alert in Kathmandu, and the personnel have been deployed from the APF and the Nepal police in and around Kathmandu. Saloni Murarka for WION World is One in Kathmandu, Nepal.
The US Secret Service shot an armed man outside the White House yesterday after an armed confrontation.
Now, there was no immediate danger to the president and the suspect has been hospitalized. The agency said the armed confrontation took place outside the Eisenhower Executive Office building in the White House's West Wing shortly after midnight. President Donald Trump was not in the White House at the time of the shooting. Local police had earlier in the day reported a suicidal individual who may have been traveling to Washington, D.C. from Indiana to the Secret Service.
The armed confrontation took place near 17th and G Streets outside the White House West Wing when the Secret Service agents spotted the man. Watching the local police description, Secret Service officials said the man brandished a firearm when they approached him. Shots were fired just after midnight and the man was taken to an area hospital. His condition was not immediately known.
In August 2020, during Donald Trump's first stint as U.S. president, Secret Service officials shot a 51-year-old man. Trump was addressing a press conference inside the West Wing at the time. Reports said that the suspect fired shots towards the White House before running aggressively towards Secret Service agents, who then shot him. Trump was briefly evacuated from the White House after the incident. Now, this was one of the tweets by the Secret Service agency, Anthony Gilmy. Secret Service personnel were involved in a shooting following an armed encounter with a person of interest after midnight on March 9th at 17th and G Street, and W Media staging area will be at 17th and Pennsylvania. This was the tweet that came right out after the incident. Now, Greenland is going through an election process amid renewed push from the Trump administration to buy the island.
Greenlanders are voting on the 11th of March in a general election. In the run-up to the election, members of Greenland's main political parties took part in a televised debate in the country's capital city. Candidates and members of the parties, including Prime Minister, discussed major issues, including independence that has taken center stage after the renewed US interest in the island.
The election is very important, especially today that our geopolitical situation here in Greenland and what happens in the United States, according to what the new elected president announced that he wants to own Greenland, is demanding that we choose people who can cooperate, because we don't want to be part of the United States at this way.
Now, while the winner of the election will be known after Election Day, what is unmistakable is the consensus against the prospect of the U.S. buying the island. Latest opinion polls suggest that most Greenlanders oppose joining the U.S., although a majority favor eventual independence from Denmark.
We want to have the sovereignty of Greenland. We are fully aware that we can't reach utopia. We need to have partners in that sense. So we want sovereignty of our country and own our country in a proper process towards the real independence.
A movement in Greenland for independence from Denmark that began in the 1970s has gained momentum in recent months. Independence from Denmark and managing US aspirations to buy out Greenland will be the major task for the next government. And a quick commerce boom is changing how Indians shop. Faster deliveries, targeted buys and big ad dollars pouring in.
Now, with established players raising quick funding, global e-commerce giants like Amazon and FWAL Mart-backed Flipkart are jumping in. But can quick commerce limit cash burn and turn profitable anytime soon? That's what this next report from our side decodes. Listen in.
India's quick commerce sector is evolving rapidly, fueled by rising ad revenues, data-driven operations, and changing consumer behavior. This shift highlights quick commerce's role in targeted purchases, with top brands benefiting from name recognition over broader category searches. Ad revenue is a key growth driver, with major players generating an estimated 30 to 35 billion rupees in annualized revenue. That's about half of Amazon India's ad revenue. The high inventory turnover of these platforms has made them attractive to brands, but store size constraints are leading to selective onboarding. As store networks expand, the balance between major FMCG players and emerging D2C brands will shape the commercial future, according to experts. Some categories, such as soft drinks, already see these platforms accounting for 60 to 70% of retail online sales. E-commerce giants are eyeing quick commerce, with Amazon's Tez and Walmart-backed Flipkart Minutes testing the market. Their entry could increase customer acquisition costs and drive data-driven expansion. However, smaller city markets remain uncertain due to lower disposable incomes and demand for small-ticket items. But competition is rising, and cash burn is becoming a hindrance to profitability. Quick commerce is becoming a dominant force in India's urban retail, but its long-term success hinges on profitability, brand partnerships, and strategic expansion. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Now, Vacations are meant to be a break from reality, but for many travelers, the real shock comes when they check their bank balance afterward.
Well, despite careful planning, a growing number of people find themselves spending far more than they expected to, sometimes by hundreds or even thousands of their currency. Blame it on soaring airfares, skyrocketing hotel rates and the rising cost of living. A post-pandemic surge in demand has made travel more expensive across the board. Flights that once felt like a steal now come with eye-watering price tags, even in the off-season.
Accommodations aren't much better, with hotels and short-term rentals raising prices to keep up with inflation. Even road trips are not immune, thanks to high gas prices that make long drives a costly affair. Then there's the unexpected spending. Restaurants in tourist hotspots are charging premium prices, and once you factor in tips, service charges, and the occasional splurge, food costs can spiral.
Excursions, theme parks, activities, they all add up, often far exceeding what travelers initially budgeted for the visit. Credit card debt is often the result, with many travelers opting to worry about it later rather than miss out on experiences. But for those returning to an already stretched household budget, that post-vacation reality check can be brutal.
Now, the dream of travel is not getting any cheaper, and as costs continue to rise, the question isn't just where to go next, it's whether many can afford to go at all.
And India are the ICC Champions Trophy winners.
The men in blue beat New Zealand by 4 wickets to win their third title. Some stingy bowling by the spinners and a combative batting display by captain Rohit Sharma helped India win back-to-back ICC white ball titles.
Indian captain Rohit Sharma lost the toss for the 12th consecutive time in ODI cricket. New Zealand opted to bat and Rachin Ravindra gave the Kiwis a strong start. Ravindra put on 57 for the first wicket with Will Young. Varun Chakravarti drew first blood for India before Kuldeep Yadav got the crucial wicket of Ravindra for 37. Kuldeep then dismissed the experienced Kane Williamson to reduce New Zealand to 75 for 3. Daryl Mitchell and Tom Latham steadied the ship for New Zealand and took them past the 100-run mark. After Ravindra Jadeja removed Tom Latham, Mitchell stitched 2 crucial partnerships with Glenn Phillips and Michael Bracewell to take the Black Caps past the 200-run mark in the 45th over. In the last 5 overs, Bracewell, who remained unbeaten on 53, helped New Zealand smash 50 runs and finish on 251 for 7.
Rohit Sharma and Shubham Gill handed India a flying start. India scored 64 runs in the 10-over power play, and the captain-vice-captain duo put up 105 run stand. Before the partnership was broken in the 19th over, courtesy of another Glenn Phillips special on the field, Virat Kohli's wicket in the next over brought New Zealand back in the contest. There were a few nervy moments when Rohit Sharma fell for 76 in the 27th over. Shreyas Iyer and Axar Patel then calmed the nerves with their conservative approach. The pair's 61-run stand took India close to the 200-run mark. Shreyas was the first to fall. Axar followed him back to the hut 2 overs later.
KL Rahul and Hardik Pandya then took charge of the innings and their partnership helped India cross the line with an over to spare. India added to their trophies in 2002 and 2013 to go past Australia, who have 2 titles. The world number 1 ODI team, India, finished unbeaten in the 8-nation tournament played in Pakistan and the UAE. Wishes poured in the moment Ravindra Jadeja hit the winning runs, and Indian Prime Minister was one of the first to congratulate the men in blue.
Taking to social media platform X, he wrote, and I'm quoting him here, "An exceptional game and an exceptional result. Proud of our cricket team for bringing home the ICC Champions Trophy. They've played wonderfully through the tournament. Congratulations to our team for the splendid all-round display." Other politicians and former cricketers also extended their wishes and praised Team India. From Indian Home Minister Amit Shah to Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi, Indian cricket legend Sachin Tendulkar and former cricketer Harbhajan Singh also joined in the celebrations. And well, the Indian duo of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli have once again silenced their critics with the Champions Trophy victory.
Indian captain Rohit Sharma has confirmed that he will not retire, and both these veterans are now set to remain with the side till the 2027 ODI World Cup. Now, there were question marks over both Sharma and Kohli ahead of the tournament after the team's dismal showing during the Test series in Australia, but they showed their class during the campaign. Kohli starred for India during the win against Pakistan with an unbeaten century, while Indian captain Rohit Sharma was the player of the match in the final against New Zealand with his score of 76.
Sharma and Kohli both have 4 ICC titles each. Sharma was part of the side that won the 2007 T20 World Cup crown, while Kohli won his first trophy at the 2011 ODI World Cup. Since the 2013 Champions Trophy, the duo have been the first names on the team sheet. They retired from the shortest format after the 2024 T20 World Cup win.
But Sharma, who will turn 38 next month, will continue playing ODIs. This is exactly what he said after the win, and I'm quoting here, "One more thing, I'm not going to retire from this format just so that no more rumors are spread." End of quote. Alright, next up, let's take a look at what's happening in entertainment, starting with Mickey 17, a quirky sci-fi comedy starring Robert Pattinson, debuted at #1 in the North American box office with $19.1 million from 3,807 theaters. Despite mixed reviews from critics and audiences, the film faces an uphill battle to break even. Internationally, it has earned $53.3 million so far, and the movie marks South Korean director Bong Joon-ho's first film after winning an Oscar in 2020.
Netflix has confirmed that there will be a second season of the Duchess of Sussex lifestyle show with Love Meghan. Despite decidedly mixed reviews online and in the press, the streaming platform said that the inspiring show will return for a second season this year, with filming already completed on the new episode. The 8-part Netflix series sees Meghan share cooking, gardening, and hosting tips with viewers from her California estate.
Pierce Brosnan, the former James Bond, has weighed in on the future of the iconic franchise, emphasizing that the next 007 must be